All right, guys, welcome back. We're Mark and Tom this week. We're going to be talking UFC Vegas 31. It's going to be a great event. A little smaller names compared to what we just had. You know, anytime you get a Conor event, the hype train's real. He got me on it again, but enough of that. Let's say thank you to our sponsor, Tampa Bless, TampaBless.com for more information. It's the home of Team Do Good. All right, guys, check them out. They're doing a lot of stuff down there in the Tampa Bay area. All right, but let's move it right along here. We got what I suspect is going to be a great main event. I believe this guy is probably a future champ. Islam Makhachev is ranked number 9 right now. He's only 29 years old. He's 19-1, and he's a minus 675 favorite, if that tells you something. He's going up against another guy who's young, looks great too, Thiago Moises. He's ranked 14. He's only 26 years old himself. He's 15-4. He's plus 475 right now going up against Islam. Islam, he's on a 7-fight win streak, last beating Drew Dober and Davi Ramos, which is very impressive for anyone's resume. I didn't see that Drew Dober fight going how it did. He made Drew Dober look bad, and Drew Dober's very good. And then Thiago, he's on a 3-fight win streak, also beating some big names to the resume. Alexander Hernandez, the Great, Bobby Green. So both these guys coming off some big victories. Both these guys heavy with the ground game. How do you see this fight playing out, Tom?
Well, first off, I want to say thanks for having me back, Marky. Excited coming off an awesome weekend. Love that Conor card. Terrible ending, obviously. Conor with a very serious injury, but as we saw, he's never skips a beat. He was promoting the next fight from his seated position on the canvas with a severely broken leg. Nobody does it. Nobody has that type of focus. And the rest of the card was great. I thought it was almost all of them were really good matchups. It was exciting. Anyways, on to the next. Islam, the Russian, the Dagestani. 19-1, UFC 8-1. He's an international master of sports in combat sambo. Similar to, whenever I hear the sambo, I always think back to the first time that I ever heard it. Really was Fedor. Was my introduction to the term sambo.
That's one guy who doesn't get the respect he deserves.
At least, yeah, with the new up-and-comers, you're right. I think anybody who was around definitely respects. His height, though, I want to get back to 5'8" is his height. He's coming off a sub-win of Drew Dober, as you mentioned, just this past March 2021. His last loss and his only loss was by KO to Adriano Martins in 2015. So he hasn't seen a loss in 6 years.
That was his debut, I believe. His UFC,
oh, was it?
UFC debut.
Okay, yeah, it may have been. On the other side, Thiago Moises, the Brazilian, 5'8" in height, same height as Islam. He's 15-4 overall, UFC 4-2. He's coming off, as you mentioned, the decision win over Alexander Hernandez. He's a black belt in BJJ. He's never been finished, worth noting, in his career. They were all decision losses. My pick, I think this is going to be a tougher fight than some people are thinking, especially the betting line. I'm going to go with Islam by decision.
We're on the same guy. Honestly, I'm one of those guys. I don't see how Islam loses this one, being that if you take a look at Thiago Moises' losses, he lost to Beneil Dariush, no shame in that, but heavy grappler, and he lost to Damir Ismagulov, also a very heavy grappler. And Islam's probably better than both of them on the ground. I'm not going to compare him to Beneil. Beneil's definitely been around. He's definitely great himself, but Islam, like you said, he's a master of sport, combat sambo. He's just unbelievable at getting the takedowns, keeping his energy up, everything. I see this one as a stoppage. I think we're going to go all the way into the deep championship rounds, though. Since his main event, we'll have 5 rounds. I think we go into the 4th round, and we see heavy ground and pound from Islam over Thiago. But both guys, I believe this is their first main event. You don't quote me on that, but I believe this is their first. But Islam's rookie card, 2019 Chrome, probably the heaviest printed product for tops. So it's available, but the prices do climb on that, and they've been climbing steadily. They're steady right now. It's a buy, absolutely buy, triple buy rating on Islam right now. And Thiago is young, and I'm sure we'll see him printed very soon, and I'm sure we'll probably give him a buy rating. He's got enough time to really develop and be great in his own right. So we both got Islam Makhachev. You think it's going to be pretty close. I think the first few rounds will be close, and then not so close. But we'll move it right on. We got a bantamweight bout. We got Marion Renault, who's ranked number 12. She's 44 years old. She has a record of 9-7, and she's plus 115 right now. She's on a 4-fight losing streak, all by decision. She's going up against Misha Cupcake Tate, who's only 34 years old. Sounds super young in this fight, even though 34 is not super young for a fighter. She's 18-7. She's minus 135, and her last 2 fights were losses, but they were in 2016 to Pennington and Nunes. So, Tom, how do you see Misha making her comeback right here? What do you see going on? Renault came out of retirement for this fight. Do you see this being worth it for
It's
her?
almost like they both came out of retirement.
Yeah, well, they did. But Renault actually fought semi-recently, but that was supposed to be her last fight. So how do you see this one playing out?
Retirement bout.
Yeah.
So, Marion Renault on one side, 5'5". Misha on the other, both American. Misha's 5'5" as well. Renault does have a 1.5-inch reach advantage. Renault overall 9-7-1 her record. In the UFC 5-6-1. Actually has a losing record. She's a black belt in BJJ and has a Muay Thai background. She's the oldest woman ever to fight in the UFC. Ever.
Props to
and
Renault.
She's also the oldest person, male or female, currently on the UFC roster. Older than Maya, older than all of them.
And she's ranked.
There you go. Also worth noting, she's a high school gym teacher. So this lady is really something else. She's able to do it all, it seems. Maybe not at the highest level, but at the highest level.
Right.
If you're considering the highest level the belt, sure. But the highest level to me really is the UFC. That's like the MLB if you're in baseball. She's coming off the 4 straight losses, as you mentioned. On the other side, Misha Tate, 18-7 overall. Surprisingly, 5-4 in the UFC. So really not that much better of a record than Renault. She's a purple belt in BJJ. She signed actually a 6-fight contract with the UFC here. So this will be number 1 out of that 6 fight. She's coming off the 2 losses, as you mentioned, one of which was to Amanda Nunes. It was a first-round rear naked choke submission.
I mean, what else is new there?
But that was 5 years ago. So she hasn't been in the ring in 5 years. My pick, being that I'm a teacher myself, 15 years, and I'm going to go with the underdog, Marion Renault, by decision.
Okay.
Throw a little bit of salt on the return of Misha Tate, even though I just stated it's 6-fight contract. It won't be nullified off a loss.
All right, so I see this fight as a warm-up for Tate. I see Tate as the better overall fighter. She's a younger fighter, and she's coming back with no lagging injuries, which is a problem for a lot of fighters. They never get time to really get over injuries, long-term, short-term. I mean, Conor wants to make a comeback. Even if he comes back next year, that was a break in his ankle. Like, it takes a long time to
It's his leg.
Right, it takes a long time to recover. So I'm going to tell you, I see Tate getting it done and giving Marion Renault her first stoppage loss. Rear naked choke by Tate in round number 3. Now,
That's great.
I
like it, man. You said that with authority.
Well, she's only 34. I think she's already been out for 5 years, and she's one of the oldest fighters, not oldest, but most experienced fighters on the roster. It's just crazy to think that. So Marion's rookie, super cheap. I got to sell on her, though. She's been on this big skid. Like you said, she's fights at the highest level, but she's never been a belt holder. She's never really been competing in the top 3. I'm not going to say she's not competing at the highest level. I totally agree. UFC is it. Miesha Tate, on the other hand, well, she's been the champ. She's been around forever. She's fighting at the highest level. She's fighting the highest girls every time she goes out there. She's already super collected. At the moment, I have a hold on her. I want to see how she performs in this fight. Her rookie card is 2011 finest. And you can get it autographed, which is just great for any collection. So let's go Cupcake. I mean, Cupcake, she's been fighting so long.
Are you gonna sprinkle that Cupcake? Are you gonna sprinkle it?
Yeah, I'm sprinkling that Cupcake. I'm taking taking her to win. I'm taking Tate to win. I got Islam and Tate brewing in my parlay, guys. Just so you guys all know. That is in the parlay for me. All right, but we're going to move on. We got a lightweight belt. Another one here. We got Jeremy Stephens, who's 35 years old. He's 28-18. He's plus 175. He's lost 4 out of his last 5, and one of those is a no contest. But he's lost to all top-tier guys. Calvin Kattar, Yair Rodriguez, Aldo, Zabit. I mean, those guys are all cream of the crops. He's going up against a pretty newcomer here who's got a lot of fight time but not in the UFC. Matisse Gamrot, who's 30 years old. He's 18-1 and won no contest. He's a minus 210 betting favorite, and he last beat Scott Holzman, and before that he lost to Garam Kucheladze, if I'm saying that correctly, the Georgian, who's pretty much a star.
Probably not.
Yeah, probably not. But he looked good his last time out, that's for sure. Where do you see this one going? Does Jeremy Stephens have some more left in the tank? I mean, his record's not showing that. Or does Gamrot just show his new shining stars and get another victory on his cap here?
Well, Gamrot is nicknamed the Gamer, but we know Jeremy Stephens is always game as well.
Oh, yeah.
Jeremy's 5'8" in height, so is Gamrot. Jeremy is super experienced, 28-18 with 1 no contest. In the UFC, surprisingly, he has a losing record. He's 15-17 with 1 no contest. That means he has 33 fights. We had commented on our last cast here that Poirier was very experienced as well in the UFC with 25 fights, now 26. But this is going to be Jeremy Stephens' 34th coming up. He's a purple belt in BJJ. He's coming off a KO loss to Calvin Kattar in May 2020, so he hasn't fought in about 14 months or so. Gamrot on the other side, 18-1, 1 no contest. He's only 1-1 in the UFC. He's only had 2 fights. This will be his 3rd. He's coming off that KO win over Scott Holtzman, as you mentioned. My pick, I like Jeremy Stephens. He's old school. I like him, but I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to go with Gamrot by KO round 2.
Yeah, I got a pretty similar line to that one. I think this one should be pretty close, but Gamrot's improving daily. He's training at a top gym right now. I believe he's at ATT, which is one of the better gyms around. And he can get it done all over. If you look at his record, he's got subs, he's got KOs, he's got TKOs. He gets it done everywhere it needs be. Stephens, like as you mentioned, has leaps and bounds of experience. He's fought forever. But I think the wars that he's been in, because he goes to war when he goes out there, they're getting to him. He's one of those guys who should take off a couple of years to heal up. Exactly what I'm talking about, what Tate did. I see Gamrot making a name for himself here against a well-known gamer himself. And I got round 1 finish for Gamrot. I think it's going to be a KO.
Interesting.
I
Nice.
think Stephens just has too much damage right now. He needs a little breather. But as far as their card market goes, Jeremy, potential Hall of Famer, as we've mentioned. Not the best record, but just overall, not many guys can even fight that long or that many top guys. I just don't think he's going to have the fan base to give him a buy rating right now. He does have a couple very old cards, and then he wasn't printed for a very long time. Gamrot, not printed yet. We'll see. So that gives us some more time to evaluate him. which is a good thing. All right, let's get on to the next one. We got a middleweight bout. I'm pretty excited for this one. I think this one looks very close on paper to me. Two totally different kind of styles and everything, body shapes, everything around. But we got Rodolfo Vieira, 7-1, 31 years old, -220 favorite. He's coming off a loss to Anthony Fluffy Hernandez. He's fighting Dustin Stoltzfus, who's 13-2. He's 29 years old. He's a +180 betting underdog there. And he's coming off a loss himself to Kyle Dawkins. But before that, he was on a 10-fight win streak. Only one fight was in the UFC, though, and it was on the Contender Series. Tom, what do you see going down with this one? Does Vieira get him to the ground, have his way, or do they stay standing and we go into Dustin's strong points?
Well, Rodolfo Vieira, the Brazilian on one side, 6 feet tall. Dustin Stoltzfus, the American, 6 feet tall on the other side. Vieira, 7-1 overall, UFC 2-1. He's a black belt in BJJ, and he's a highly decorated grappler. He's coming off a loss to Anthony Hernandez by guillotine sub, round 2 in February 2021. I watched it. You watched it. He was dominating until he gassed. And then when he gassed, he almost went stiff. Like he almost couldn't move.
He definitely had muscle fatigue.
Yes. On the other side, Dustin Stoltzfus, 13-2-0 overall, 0-1 in the UFC. He's coming off that decision loss to Kyle Dawkins. My pick, I think he's going to have to do it early because I don't know how much better shape he got in since his last fight in February. But I'm going to pick Vieira sub maybe round 1 or 2.
That's kind of how I see it has to go. This is a real tough one. I believe he has 7 world championships, Vieira.
Yeah, he's an insane grappler.
I'd have to check it, but I believe he has 7 world championships, which is just amazing. He's super talented, like you said. But both guys are pretty talented here. I'm also leaning Vieira. I see the same weakness because we watched it together. He can gas himself out if he can't get it done. He's so big. He's so strong at this weight. I think he gets it to the ground. He looks to finish this time. He doesn't look to play around. And I got to see him for the weigh-in to fully put any kind of sprinkle on this one. But I'm leaning Vieira. Gets it done. Submission. Round 1, 2. If this goes to round 3, we got to see what he looks like.
Could be trouble.
Yeah, it could be trouble. We got to see what he looks like at weigh-in. Did he get on a diet for the last year? Is he just trying to make weight again? He's so big and strong. It's freakish for this size. So I'm gonna lean him for now. Submission, same as you. Now Rodolfo is also, he's new to Prism, and he could be a very great speculation play if you like him. He's coming into his prime right now, and he's already known on the world stage. So I got him as a spec play, but I got him as a buy. And Dustin, another very new guy. We got a little more time till we see him printed so we can evaluate him hopefully in another fight. Now let's move on. We got a straw weight female fight. I'm kind of excited for this one. We got Amanda Lemos, ranked 14. She's 34 years old. She's 9-1 and 1 draw. She's a -550 favorite. She's on a 3-fight win streak with 2 first-round finishes. She's going up against Montserrat Ruiz, who's 28. She's 10-1. She's +400. She's on a 2-fight win streak. And her last fight was her debut against Cheyenne Buys. I know you watched that one with me. It was a good performance for her. How do you see this one going out?
You got Amanda Lemos, the Brazilian, on one side, 5'3" in height. The Mexican Montserrat Ruiz on the other, 5 foot even in height. Amanda Lemos has a 4-inch reach advantage. Lemos 9-1-1 overall, 3-1 in the UFC. However, she's 3 straight wins. She lost her debut. She's coming off a TKO win over Souza. On the other side, Montserrat Ruiz, 10-1-0. She's 1-0 in the UFC, coming off that decision win over Cheyenne Buys. Where do I see it? My pick, I'm going to have to go with Amanda Lemos, round 1 or 2 strikes.
Yeah. To me, this is an easy pick. I will be sprinkling this into my parlay. Amanda has 100% takedown defense and is against a girl way shorter, way smaller. And as we've seen Ruiz fight, she doesn't have a lot of power. Not at all. I mean, she's crafty. She's got the Mexican heart, but we saw she couldn't finish in her last fight with nearly full control the entire fight. I got Amanda KO round 1 also. And her debut, I believe she took last minute. It was just, she got the call, she took it. I think she only had a few days, someone backed out, and it was tough for her to make weight. She's a pretty big girl. Not huge or anything, but she's a big girl for strawweights. I believe she could fight up if she wanted to. Now, both these women, we got time on them. The only Amanda you're going to find searching for Amandas in the UFC is Nunes. I mean, that's it. But I get a feeling we might see both of these girls printed early next year. They both got good records. They're both hungry. So we'll reevaluate then. And now we're just going to give you guys a few picks on the next couple fights. Gabriel Benitez, 22-8. He's a -160. He's going up against Billy Quarantillo, 15-3, +140. What do you see happening here? Who you got?
I'm just going to give straight picks. I'm going with Billy Quarantino on the upset. He's out of New York, and I believe he's residing down here in Tampa.
All right. Well, Mowgli, super tough. I won't be laying any money on this one. You ain't getting a sprinkle on me. But let's go, Billy. I got him in a decision victory. Now we got welterweight. I like this fight. I'm not too keen on Preston Parsons. But we got Daniel Rodriguez, 14-2. He's 34 years old. He's a -310 favorite. He's going up against Preston Parsons, who's 9-2, 25 years old, and he's a +245 underdog. Who are you picking?
I mean, I've never seen Preston Parsons fight. Daniel Rodriguez, I saw him against Mike Perry. He did well. I'm going to pick Daniel Rodriguez here just based on, I think he's probably a higher level, but you never know. This other guy, Parsons, might come in and make his mark. But who I'm picking? Daniel Rodriguez.
All right, so just a little bit on Parsons. All 9 wins of his are by submission. He has no knockouts. He has no decisions. This is why I really like Rodriguez here. He's got great takedown defense. He's like 90%. He's got great hands. All he has to do is avoid going to the ground, avoid some of those crazy submissions, and I think he cruises to a decision victory. And all those guys that we just stated, they can all be reevaluated on their next fight. I don't believe any of them are printed at this time. And I don't think we'll see them in the next set, so we got some time on them. We got Francisco Figueiredo going up against Malcolm Gordon. We're just going to mention Figueiredo because, well, his brother's an absolute stud. So, Tom, who you picking here? Figueiredo?
Yeah, I just wanted to include his name as well just because of the lineage. And because of that, I'm going to pick him to win as well. And I think this is this his UFC debut or no?
I'm not. I don't believe it's his debut. I believe it's his second fight. But I have to double check that one. I'm
going to go with Francisco, the Figueiredo bloodline here.
Yeah, I mean he's good. He's 12-3-1, and Gordon's 12-5. It's super close. I'm not going to take any money on this one, but I lean towards Figueiredo. Power. I lean him getting a knockout against Gordon. Gordon, I believe he gasses a little bit. So Figueiredo. But guys, I appreciate you joining us, and we'll see you guys very soon.
Peace.